In our previous video, we saw big data and discussed about its challenges. However, this was solved using Hadoop. So in this video, let's see what Hadoop is. Hadoop is an open source framework developed in 2006. Further, it's managed by Apache Software Foundation. Then slowly they named it as Hadoop, after the name of a yellow stuffed toy elephant. The main function of Hadoop is to store and process huge volume of data effectively that was not achieved by big data. The Hadoop framework comprises of two main components. The first one is HDFS. This stands for Hadoop Distributed File System, and the second one is MapReduce. The HDFS takes care of storing and managing the data within the Hadoop cluster, whereas the MapReduce takes care of the processing and computing of the data that is present within the HDFS. The Hadoop cluster is made up of two nodes, the master and the slave node. The master node takes care of the name node and the job tracker while running. The node here generally refers to the computer. The job tracker is used to take care of the background running apps and process. The slave node takes care of the data node and task tracker. The name node and data node is responsible for storing and managing the data. These both together is known as storage node. Similarly, the job tracker and the task tracker is responsible for computing and processing the data. These both are referred to as compute node. Just like the Bluetooth, the master node is one and are configured to run on a single machine, while the slave node can be one or more and can be configured on multiple machines. We also have a secondary name node as a part of the Hadoop cluster. The Hadoop has few great features. The main one is cost effective, which means that Hadoop doesn't need any special or expensive components. All it needs is a very simple hardware. This simple hardware, in other words, is known as commodity hardware. The second feature is Hadoop allows access to a large cluster of nodes. It can be in hundreds or in thousands. But what is the advantage of having more clusters in nodes? In simple, the storage and processing power increases to the users. Further, Hadoop allows parallel processing, which means that the data can be processed simultaneously within a cluster. This in turn reduces the latency. Hadoop also supports distributed data. That is, a large data is distributed within the clusters properly and further into each node. The other important feature is automatic failover management. If any node in the cluster fails, then Hadoop automatically replaces it with a new node and all the required configurations is done to it. The user need not worry or do anything. The next feature is data locality optimization, where the data required is transferred with less time and bandwidth. For example, if the data is 1 TB and is in Japan, then to transfer that to India, it takes more bandwidth and time. Hadoop will instead send the access link, which will be in MB. With this link, we will be able to access the data with reduced time and bandwidth. Hadoop also supports heterogeneous cluster, which means that each node can be from different vendor with different operating systems. Hadoop is highly scalable, that is, the nodes can be added or removed easily without any issues. Similarly, any hardware such as RAM, storage, etc. can be added or removed in a node within a cluster. Said about features, now let's see its working. The Hadoop mainly consists of two things, and they are HDFS and MapReduce as discussed. The Hadoop framework divides the data into smaller units. Each part of the data is given to a separate node in a cluster. If we have 10 TB of data with 5 nodes in a cluster, then each node will have 2 TB of data. This division is done by the HDFS, due to which the time taken to store the data is reduced. Further, all the data is stored simultaneously in different machines. For high availability of data, Hadoop then replicates the data. The number of copies depends on the replication factor. By default, Hadoop sets the replication factor to 3, which means there will be 3 copies of data in machines. However, out of these 3 copies, 2 will be stored in the same rack, while 1 will be stored in different rack. These racks are interconnected using a common network. Hope that you all have understood about Hadoop, its features and its working. See you all in my next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to get instant notification whenever I release a new video. Do share it with your friends and always remember to think big.